Welcome, welcome, beloved community. We are back again with yet another installment of the People's Water Board Coalition's Water Wednesday webcast. I do apologize for missing our first show of 2026, but I'm back in the swing of things. And as always, I'm here with my beloved co host, Valerie Jean.
Hi, everyone.
And we cannot forget our behind the scenes tech guru extraordinaire, reels and shorts and just pure content about what's going on in our community all of 2025 and continues to do it through 2026. And today we're here to talk about something that's important, and a lot of people need to know the full details of how it affects communities, which is data centers. And we have Miss Amanda Robert here. She is the network manager for MICAN, which stands for the Michigan Climate Action Network. And she's going to talk to us about what's going on in our surrounding communities with data centers. Good to have you here, Amanda.
It's an honor to be here.
This isn't your first rodeo with us. We
Mhm.
really appreciate you taking the time to come on Water Wednesday. You've been doing a lot of organizing on the ground with communities around data centers and getting them educated as to what to expect when a data center comes knocking at their door. People have been reaching out to us wanting to know what exactly happened with Howell, Michigan, right? And then there's some other places that we want to talk about as well. So it's a short show and we're going to jump right in. Amanda, can you talk about the resistance to the data center in Howell, Michigan, and what transpired? What is happening now? Kind of the whole overview, because the people really got together and resisted it, and it was pretty inspiring. Can you talk about the whole what happened?
Yeah, absolutely. And it really was people understand when big industry and big corporations want to come into their small towns. And so back in September of 2025, there was a data center proposed in the township of Howell that would have to rezone over 1,000 acres of farmland. And when people found out, they had a lot of concerns. They had concerns over groundwater and the power infrastructure, the loss of farmland. That was a really big concern for people there. And then really a lack of transparency and secrecy that seemed to be
That's
around
right.
the project. And so they organized, they went to meetings, they had a lot of pushback, enough pushback, in fact, that the developer stepped away. The developer in December announced that they were going to back out and leave, but they said it for a chance to give the township to put in a moratorium. So that's a big win, right? That tells us go talk to your neighbors, show up to township meetings, pay attention to what's happening, and ask tough questions because it really matters. But it's important to know that in saying that they wanted give them a chance for a moratorium, that doesn't mean the developer's just gone. There's a big expectation that they will come back.
Yeah.
So right now, at the township, what's happening now is they're working on data center ordinances. People are continuing to go to those meetings. People are continuing to show up and expect the developer to likely come back. And so, people want to know what they can do in Howell. And I know that everybody wants to help in Howell. And what the Howell team will tell you is to get involved in your community, to go to your township, your city board meetings, to go to your planning commission meetings. Make sure these things aren't coming to your towns, because it's not only going to Howell.
All
right? I
over
think we've got
Michigan.
a count of the 23 or 24 proposals so far across the state that have tried it in one place or another. And so they say they want you to get involved, pay attention. And if there's no proposal in your township yet, talk about strong data center ordinances and get them put in place before a proposal comes. And if they're not going to put it on the agenda,
That's important. Before,
It is.
because it's coming. You need to know that
not
this is
after.
coming.
We don't always have to be reactive.
Start talking to your city council now. Start talking to the lawmakers now to say, look, we need to have protections in place ahead of time.
We do.
Before this, because it's, as people resist, they're going to just start looking for other places, and certainly other frontline communities.
And that's
what that looks like.
It seems like that's what they're targeting, particularly frontline community with large surface areas of land that they can overtake. That's their main objective.
Communities that don't have a lot of money to fight back.
Yes, absolutely.
Yep, they're looking for affordable land, access to energy, and typically townships that don't have the ability to push back or to get a good deal for their community.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. right now, as it sits now, Amanda, the moratorium is in place, right? But they
Yeah, so they
haven't
don't
gotten any
currently
kind of
have,
city ordinances or anything in place to say no. And that's kind of what they're working on, right?
and we can't pass in Michigan by law. Local
Hmm.
municipalities can't actually pass a law or an ordinance that would say no data centers allowed. We actually can't do that. And so what they can do though is to make really strict ordinances for the health of their community, for water, for energy, things like that, that would make it a little more difficult for those data center projects to come to town. And they can also make sure that things are zoned the way that the community wants them to be. Right? It's important that we have a say in what our communities are today and
Absolutely.
what they'll become tomorrow.
Absolutely. It shocks me that there's no way to stop it because when you think about it, when you hear about how government chooses which corporations come to their community, there's generally some incentive in it for the communities. But with these data centers, you don't see any incentive because, as you said, they're tremendously large facilities that may need 4 to 7 people working in, and they bring in
Yeah, they're
people who
really
are already,
extractive.
they're very extractive, and then they bring in people who are already trained.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. Yeah, there's
they don't
a
even
lot of
offer
concern.
job incentives or anything like that for the community, and they just extract from that community so much.
Yeah, and they actually lie. A lot of times they're like, "Oh, this is going to bring jobs." When I first went
Yeah,
to the first meeting that I went to in Howell, that was, kind of people were confused about that because it was kind of a conversation that it was going to bring jobs, but the truth of the matter
yeah,
is that it doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, so if we're really honest, they bring some short-term construction jobs.
Yeah.
And that's it, right? And so, that brings me a little bit to the project that's just down the road from me, if you want to talk about Lyon Township, because they've extended the construction period of that to try to say the jobs are a little more longer term. So you want me to,
Yeah, that's Nicole's next
yeah.
question.
That's
let's
what
let
I was
Nicole
going
go.
to ask you. So, what is the community doing to resist the proposed data centers in South Lyon that's very close to you? Like, what are some of the things they're doing, and what are some of the promises being made to this community?
Yeah, so the proposal in Lyon Township is quite different than what we've seen in other places in that the land doesn't actually have to be rezoned, or they're claiming it does not have to be rezoned. And they're using some outdated local ordinances around a definition of a center for data, so data processing, not a data center. And
Hmm.
they've been able to already approve it. There's no
Jeez.
community agreement, no community agreement, no benefits to the community. They actually didn't tell the community about it. It
Oh,
came
well,
out
that's
because
horrible.
somebody from the township, I don't know if it was a staff person or somebody that was in the know, let the media know. People started asking questions, and then they put out a public letter and let us know, a media thing, that they don't have to get it. So it didn't even go to the township board. So they used these outdated zoning ordinances that allowed it to just go through a planning commission. And that planning commission is an appointed planning commission. So this was already approved back in September. No rezoning needed. And they are claiming they're ready to go.
See, that's where the
So you asked
transparent,
about,
like where why people were so mad because these people are
Yes.
sneaky. These corporations are sneaky. That's, we're going to look and make sure that we see any kind of little back doors that we can do because they know that people all over Michigan, that's why we need to keep standing up, right? Because they know that people all over Michigan are standing up and saying, no, we don't want these in our backyard. We don't want
yep,
and we know that this is going to raise our energy rates. We know it's going to use our water. We know that it's going to pollute our air. All of these things, they didn't want to have to deal with that. So they did some very secretive, not at all transparent stuff. And this is in your backyard, right, Amanda?
yeah, it's
What's
about 2 miles from my
ironic,
home.
yeah, what's ironic is that if you as a community member would have brought up a antiquated, zoning law or anything like that for your own personal usage, they would have shot it down and said, "Oh, that's on the books, but it's very antiquated. We don't use that anymore." But they allow these big corporations to use laws similar to just slip in and do what they want to do in the back door.
Yeah,
That's
whoever
right.
did that in secret, there needs to be whole campaigns before they get voted back in.
Yeah.
Like they did
Mhm.
this secretive, terrible thing back in September, didn't tell anybody, and then finally we got a whistleblower to tell us the truth. I mean, that's a good
And to
reason
know
not
that,
to ever vote for them again.
well, so they're not even voted for,
Absolutely.
remember?
Oh, they're not
No
voted for?
Democratic checks, no Democratic checks here. This was done by an appointed board. So the people that appoint them can definitely, and people are looking into whether to recall those people and how long they're
Man.
elected for. And
So they're
definitely
not
there's
even
some
voted
issues.
in by the people. They're just
There's no
appointments.
Democratic checks here. And so you asked about what the community's been doing to push back, and they've really been turning out. I am very proud of the people around me, and they've been
Yeah.
educating themselves. You would think this came out, by the way, right before, days before the holiday break.
Right.
And so you would think that would be a negative. People are busy. No, people seem to have spent their time educating themselves. And when
That's
January came,
great.
January last week, wasn't on the agenda, but the first board meeting, we showed up over capacity for the building. We had 50 or 60 people that had to wait outside to get into the building to give public comment. And now everybody's
Beautiful.
letting them know we've looked into this and we understand what it would do to our groundwater, what it would do to our municipal water system, our energy rates, that we have to worry about generators on site. And not to mention that this location, they did not do their due diligence and look into this at all. It is 0.13 miles from an elementary school
Oh my
Mm.
God.
and next to homes and a
They
golf
probably didn't even
course and a
care,
gun
Amanda.
range of
These
all
people do
things.
not
You know what
care
this
about
reminds
our
me of?
children, their future.
This reminds me of everything that happened in the neighborhood where Emma Lockhart used to live. Remember, they didn't tell
Yeah.
them
Around the
anything.
Marathon Refinery,
Yeah, over by the
48217.
Marathon Refinery, they were just slowly damaging these people's health, their
There
community,
was a school
their
set up there too.
well-being,
Yeah,
everything.
that's right. And so this proposal in Lyon Township is almost 2 million square feet. It's 1.8 million square feet. We haven't been given any energy usage information. They did just put out a water study that seems quite laughable, claiming
Yeah.
that the most water they would use would be flushing toilets.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah, we know that's not true. These people lie like the big oil companies. They lie.
absolutely. Absolutely. We have, so people continue to educate yourselves on data centers. At MyCan, we have a course in our My Community space that you can access for free, or there's all types of resources out there. I think people should educate themselves, educate your neighbors, educate your council, make sure everybody really understands the threat that these pose and bring to our communities. That,
Here's
no, go ahead.
here's the thing, just being a layman, not knowing about like specifications of data centers, just hearing a building with that much space will automatically make me think they're going to utilize a lot of electricity if it's just to turn on the lights in that place. We're
Yeah,
not even
yeah. And
It's
talking
they're
not
going
about
to,
even
running
just
the
to turn on the
equipment.
lights,
Right,
right?
but I'm just saying a
Yeah, no, they're
building
going to
that
use.
large, just that alone will burn ungodly amounts of energy, let
And that's
alone
going to
running
fall
the
on
equipment and
ratepayers.
everything else.
is it a following ratepayers? And
Exactly.
the added worry here is in this community, half the people are on wells, and the other half are on the city municipal system that is not a very strong city municipal system. To
Mhm.
be honest, there's been residential homes that have been stopped from being built because this city water system couldn't handle them. And they're going to put a
Wow.
data center in that same system. So people are concerned whether they have groundwater or they're in that kind of shaky city
Yeah,
municipal
no matter what,
system.
their water's going to be used.
And
Yep.
yeah, because I was going to say, who's to say they won't tap into the underground aquifers that run to the wells as well? You don't
And
know.
we're very close to the Huron River and all of our waterways connect. There's so many, many concerns. And I've heard new concerns, even, as somebody that's been working to fight data centers since 2024 when they were trying to pass the statewide incentives. You think all the concerns, and people bring up new concerns. So that, look at it from your own perspective. You're going to think of things like, somebody just recently brought up what happens if there's a fire at this facility. Tiny little fire
Yes.
department in this town can't handle that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the implications. And then we're looking at the implications, on basic human, needs and resources and things like that. But overall, the accumulation of these data centers are really hard on climate. You're talking about never reaching any climate goals because of these. Like the
Yeah.
climate, is going to suffer so terribly. So on
That's
top
right.
of the communities that they're in suffering, you're talking about the climate suffering and all of us suffering as a result even more. And people don't talk about that. Another thing that people don't talk too much about is the air pollution that they
Hmm.
create, like, and how it ruins the soil. You're talking about pristine farming land. You're never going to be able to use it for that again. Like, it's gone. It's going to be gone.
Yeah.
Um,
I don't
The
all the way
roads,
understand.
around.
I don't
yeah, rows
understand
and
how people
rows of,
don't see that anything that damages our water, it damages all of our natural elements, the air, the soil, the water, the plant life, all of that is damaged. For the sake of having a building that is supposed to house artificial intelligence, when I've been reading articles in business magazines that's already saying that that method of creating AI is already becoming obsolete. They've moved
that's
on to
right.
another way to create it already, but
Yeah,
they're still
there's a lot
dropping these
around.
data centers. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a new technology, right? And we're letting the industry tell us how much we need it. So we'll pay essentially to build these data centers in our communities, pollute our communities, and
Yep.
essentially the AI will take our jobs. So I think we have a lot of concerns around these proposals in all of our communities.
Amanda, you did say there was somewhere that can you share with us that there was somewhere on MyCan's, I'm assuming their website, where they could learn more about these things. Can you share that with us so that we can put it in and anything
Yeah.
else that needs to be shared so that so folks can just go to the box down below and click and go find that information. But also, how can people get involved? What can people be doing right now? We already talked a little bit about like getting out in front of it, right? If it's not happening to you yet, it will be soon. Like, what kind of things can people do to get involved, protect themselves, and protect their communities?
Yeah, I mean, I think I said some of it already. First, start with educating yourself, especially in whatever you're most concerned about. If you're like
Yeah.
us here and water is your number one concern, look into the water table around you, how this could affect your town if it came in. Your local ordinances, understand what data centers are, talk to your neighbors, all of those things. I'm sure you all have talked about this in the past, but we have some statewide sales and use tax breaks for these big tech companies to come build these data centers here. And so that was passed in 2024. And so call your state representatives and senators and tell them that you want a repeal of those incentives. That's a big reason
Yeah.
that we're seeing so many of these proposals. And then really, I mean, there's so many different ways to support these different communities. I know Celine is one that's been in the news a lot. They're the one that has gone through the process with the Michigan Public Service Commission, and they're still having big meetings and asking people to come out. And they have something, if you look, called the Rural Michigan Defense Fund. That's to help them with their fight there, and then they plan to help other rural towns around the state that are facing the same type of fight. Yeah, so I think a lot of those would be the best way to get involved is really just inform yourself, inform your neighbors, and pay attention. Run for things if you can. Be on city commission or planning commissions, boards, whatever you be involved.
Yeah.
Yes.
While we're talking about Celine, didn't the Attorney General Nessel just bring some sort of legal action against, I'm not sure if it was DTE or if it was against the data center proposal folks.
So it's
Do you
against the
know?
Michigan Public Service Commission. She wants them to
Yes.
review their fast track of DTE's deal with the data center there.
Hmm.
Yeah. And what that would do was open it up to a full public hearing and public comment period where people would be able to see all of the details and really get full public engagement.
Yeah, because I mean, the people of Saline have been in these streets. I mean, they
So,
they have really they put up a huge resistance to this.
but talk about a deal with DT and the data centers. Talk about bad versus evil. I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, another good way people can get involved when we don't talk about DTE and maybe some dirty money issues there and why our politicians here in Michigan, our elected officials, I should say, would pass something like an incentive for 20 years of sale and use tax breaks to come build these here. And it's because it is a good deal for DTE, right? And if you are not
Absolutely.
aware, TE Energy is the second largest donor, I'm sorry, the second largest campaign contributor in the state of Michigan. And so there is Michigan Money Out of Politics ballot proposal right now. If you
Yep.
haven't signed it, you might want to find someone and sign that. And that's a good way to kind of fix this problem at the root cause.
Yeah, we had our dear friend Christy McGillivray to talk about that, and we fully support people signing that. We have to get big money out of politics. It's the only way to protect ourselves in our communities. It's one of the most important ballot initiatives happening right now. Is in my personal
Absolutely.
opinion, I think that it is.
Yes.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
going to have all of those things that Amanda just talked about
Link.
in the description box down below, folks, so that you can easily get involved and figure out ways to keep yourself and your community safe.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Amanda, we really appreciate you taking the time out of your uber busy schedule to come on and let our viewers know what's going on and keep us in the loop and explain to us how we can get involved and learn more about this. Do you have any final thoughts for our viewers?
Yeah, just one last thing. I'll kind of plug what we have going on this Thursday. If you're near Lyon Township or South Lyon, you can come in person. If not, we will be streaming and sharing the recording online. And we're going to have an educational event. Something similar happened out in Howell, and we have some great partners that really care. So we're going to have Nicole Biber from Clean Water Action, Michelle
Yeah.
Martinez from the University of Michigan.
Warriors,
Yeah, Gwen Klinke from Frack Tracker Alliance. And then
fantastic.
Prescott. Oh goodness, and I can't remember how to say Prescott's last name. I apologize. Well, Bulk. And he is a retired U.S. Bank tech executive. Very
Yeah,
interesting.
it's
And
very
knows really the
compelling.
other side of this and behind the scenes and what they're looking for and why they're targeting rural communities and also what it really means when they come to town because he's from Wisconsin where they've had many of these built already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he comes from an interesting perspective and background to make his expertise very, very important to hear. And he's got very compelling. All of those people, first of all, the other people, they are the warriors in the room.
Yeah.
Dr. Nicole, Michelle Martinez, they're the homies. They're the warriors in the room. Everybody should come just to hear them. But also Prescott he's very compelling. Thank you, Amanda, for coming on the show, but really dedicating your life for the last few years to helping people understand data centers, the impacts to communities, and helping people organize these huge town halls that you've seen hundreds and hundreds of people show out to. This is the work of the moment that is going to change the tide. I believe that, and I can't thank you enough for that, and for your dedication to it. The education of the public is incremental right now for this to go down, for us to be able to stand against these data centers, for us to be able to come together and organize. So it's very important work. Thank you. Thank you for coming on the show and
Yeah.
thank you for your work.
Thank you both.
And it's great to have you back, Nicole. We missed you.
Thank you.
The show's not the same without you ever. So, I try to do it by myself, but I just don't do it no justice. So I'm glad to have you back at home here at Water Wednesday with us. And Amanda, thank you for always contributing to the show and coming on, and sometimes even last minute you come on. Folks, these are really, really hard times. I know I always say that, but we are faced with, communities are faced with dangers that we just couldn't even imagine,
Yeah.
not too long ago. So look after each other, try to take care of each other, share this Water Wednesday, and try to stay
Yes.
afloat. Bye.
Bye.